In a world of criminals that operate above the law, can one game make a difference? England, 7:25 p.m, Tuesday the 22nd of February 1983. A 9-year-old me sat in front of a 22-inch CRT TV waiting for a new series to start on ITV involving a talking car. Yes, a talking car. As you can imagine, the anticipation for seeing this was palpable after watching numerous TV commercials for the upcoming series over the previous days. As we know, the rest is history, and I've always been a fan of Knight Rider even to this very day, 40 plus years later, watching the numerous reruns across the various satellite channels. It is one of those programmes that seems to have weathered the test of time, and is still remembered fondly by a lot of people, even though it does look a bit cheesy at times. As you can imagine, lots of toys, games and merchandise were produced to accompany the series, even long after its demise in the late 80s, including the spin-off series. In this video I'm going to take a look at the video games that have been released over the years in relation to Knight Rider, from the early Ocean game released in 1986, up to 2004 with the release of Knight Rider 2 the game by Davalex on the PC and consoles of the time. So fasten your seatbelts, put on your rose-tinted sunglasses and let's drive into the past for another nostalgic road trip. Ocean were well known for their TV and film related crossover games, some which were good and some not so good, but a lot seemed to fall into the latter category. Released in 1986, a full 4 years after its UK TV debut, Knight Rider the game came out on the 8-bit systems, including the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum and Amstrad, priced at £7.95 and £8.95 based on which system you purchased it for. The game itself was a dire driving shoot 'em up with a bit of walking inside buildings looking for terrorists. Select the destination you want to drive to, then shoot the helicopters on the way there, with either yourself controlling the driving or the shooting. It took Ocean 16 months to put together this game, but this does not show at all in the gameplay. Why it took so long is a mystery. The magazines in turn did not like the game at all and gave it some very low scores, with Zap64 saying, "I can't believe Ocean have got the nerve to release a game as bad as this," and others stating that this was an opportunity missed for Ocean with such a well-known TV series. The actual Knight Rider original TV series ran from 1982 until 1986 and comprised of 4 seasons and 90 episodes. But Knight Rider did not disappear into TV history, but the reruns kept it as a popular show for many years after 1986. In 1988, a full 2 years after the series ended, Knight Rider was released in Japan on the NES, with the European version following in 1990. Made by Acclaim, again the game involved terrorists who had raided a US military site, and only one man and car can stop them. And no, it's not Herbie. The action once again takes place on the road where you drive and try to shoot and destroy the terrorist cars, collecting upgrades as you go. There are 15 cities in total to drive to. The magazines again gave it a lukewarm reception with only averages of 3 out of 5. (1991) saw Knight Rider return to the TV screens again with the release of Knight Rider 2000, a TV film which once again starred the main characters of the original Knight Rider, including David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight and Edward Mulhare as Devon Miles. It is set in the near future where guns are banned, but a spate of killings using guns has needed Michael to be brought back into action to sort it out. Unfortunately, KITT has been deactivated and disassembled, so the black Trans Am we all know and love is gone. But he is put into a rather swish-looking red futuristic car, but to me this was not KITT. The film bombed, with viewers only giving it an average of 4.6 out of 10, and similar on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 42%. Over in Japan in 1994, a game was released called Knight Rider Special for the PC Engine. This was loosely based on the NES game that had been released a few years earlier, but instead of an internal view, it relied upon a third-person view, looking from behind KITT. Again, it involved driving along a highway and shooting the bad guys as you went along. Unlike the NES version, this version did actually include the theme tune from Knight Rider. Reviews for this game fared a bit better than earlier games, and had an average score of 7 out of 10. Again, this was not an amazing game to play, and boredom soon set in. In yet another attempt to reboot the series, a new version of Knight Rider was launched, called Team Knight Rider in 1997, which was set once again in FLAG, the Foundation for Law and Government, but this time consisted of 5 operatives and their futuristic vehicles. Again, only one series of this was ever made, and the reviews were mixed, with the series scoring around 50%. The ending of the final episode saw a shot of the original Michael Knight from behind, but this was played by a body double and not David Hasselhoff. By now the Knight Rider series and reruns were starting to flag a little, with the original show being only shown on obscure UK satellite TV channels, but still the old brigade of fans would watch. In 2002, Davalex decided to release a game on the PlayStation 2 and PC, which would bring KITT and Michael into the new world of 3D gaming. Knight Rider the game was a 3D driving sim that had you complete various objectives, such as chasing criminals, racing and exploring the surrounding area. It also featured foes from the TV series, including Car and Garth Knight. The gameplay and graphics were not a bad attempt, and they certainly gave you more of a feel that you were driving KITT, especially with the ability to do turbo boosts and other acrobatic from the TV series. The magazines were again on the wall with review scores, averaging around the 60% mark. Knight Rider 2, the game, followed 2 years later, with not much improvement, and more of the same with limited gameplay and few new things to keep you entertained. This time the reviews were not as forgiving, an average around the 40% mark, with some magazines asking if this was not the worst game ever made. In hindsight, I feel the later 2 Knight Rider games on the PS2 and PC were probably the closest to the original TV series, but we judged them against other games on the platform at the time, to which they probably did seem like shovelware or shareware in terms of gameplay and graphics. But looking at them as Knight Rider games only, I think the attempt was not a bad one.
Mission failed.
The current final attempt at bringing Michael back to the TV screens happened in 2008 with the resurrection of Knight Rider. NBC released Knight Rider, a modern update to the original series. Justin Bruning played Michael Trouser, the estranged son of Michael Knight. At the end of the pilot, we see both Michaels coming together at the funeral of his mother and Michael's ex-wife. At this point, Michael's son decides to continue the work his father had done before him, and takes on the name of Michael Knight, thus setting up the series. Once again, the premise is the underdog being assisted by FLAG to help overcome issues they might have. KITT is voiced by Val Kilmer, and for me is one of the highlights of this series. KITT has the ability to morph into various cars due to nanotechnology, which I found to be a bit rubbish, if I'm honest, and would have preferred him just to stay as a black Mustang. The plots were okay, with some being better than others, but unfortunately the writing was on the wall for this reincarnation of Knight Rider, as NBC reduced the number of episodes ordered from 22 down to 17, before finally not renewing it for a second series. Even though Knight Rider has not been on our screen in a new series for over 13 years now, the original still seems to hold a place dear in our heart, and this can be seen with the add-ons and DLC content that still adds KITT and Michael to its games. Examples of this are Rocket League, Lego Dimensions, Planet Coaster, and the list goes on. Also, with the advent of games on phones, KITT has appeared in games on both iOS and Android, and recently a Playmobil set has been released. Part of me hopes that one day a new series is released, but the other does not, because we have seen nothing usually beats the original for feel and nostalgia, just because that was its time to be released, and this is the part of why other incarnations are never as good or equal to it. What are your memories of Knight Rider? Did you even like the programme? Comment below and let's start a discussion. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then please click the subscribe button. Also, click the bell notification icon for updates of new videos and also when I go live. For daily updates, why not follow me on Facebook? Click the link below.